What is going on, everyone, and welcome back to the Dallas Stars GM mode. We are in episode number 2, so I decided to sim forward a little bit until I got like a couple weeks in at least to short down on the time, and decided to start things up at this trade offer because, it's just interesting to see what San Jose is doing, and they really want to shop out Patrick Marleau. I mean, I wouldn't be shocked to see him go at this offseason, but the price of a first round pick, a third round pick, and a prospect, I mean, that's about fair value for him. Maybe I try to get rid of the first, but overall, I'd rather give up a first and 2 second round picks because theoretically, the 2 second round picks actually have more more value than a first, and theoretically, actually, or not theoretically, and practically, they actually generally 2 second round picks turn out better than a first. So it's not a bad overall trade, but we're gonna decline it for now. And so we went on a little bit of we had a nice little record here. We went what is that, 5-1-1, which is solid. So I figured I'd recap some trades that happened because there's some interesting trades that happened, and they are, here we go, player and pick trading. So we had Joe Thornton go to Ottawa for a first round pick and Ryan Zingle, and that wasn't the main blockbuster. The main blockbuster was actually Dallas making a trade with Vancouver, because I was thinking, oh hey, maybe we should try to trade for the Sedin twins because I've always wanted the Sedin twins to win a Stanley Cup, and well, they got traded. So let's go to Vancouver and just show you kind of who they got back in return. I think it's it's a very good trade for Vancouver. Goaltending wise, they actually got back a good enough goaltender to kind of fill in the back in Reto Berra. I think he's going to be solid for them, at least in the, he'll give them good quality minutes and stuff. Jakob Markstrom's a little bit upset, so it might be time just to kind of poach in, grab him as a backup goaltender in a bit of a swing. But that's not who they mainly got in that trade. I don't know if they actually got any draft picks in it. It doesn't look like they did, but as you can see, they made the trade with Colorado, and yeah, so they got Mikko Rantanen back, who I think is a terrific prospect. I think they did really well in that trade. I mean, you're getting a guy like that back. That's always really solid. So, yeah, they're just outside of that, not great, but hey, it is what it is. So right now, we want to get that top 6 forward. I think our little experiment has gone well. We keep on getting offered Jaromir Jagr. Brian Campbell's an interesting name. The reason why Campbell's an interesting name for us is because he is, he's a solid defenseman. He'll give us good value. He's got a decent amount of shots, and if we can get his contract, like half of his contract, then we're in good shoes there. So he's a guy who we're pretty interested in. If we're looking for the future, a guy like Spencer Watson is a good ad. Outside of that, like Josh Hosang would be a nice ad. Stride is alright. Sprong would be a good ad too. Really, outside of them, there's not a lot on the block worth going after right now. So I think we're just gonna stick to what we have and kind of see how it plays out. So again, we'll go through just kind of like recent stats and stuff. So we're still sitting in that nice little fourth spot, but Sagan 37 points. I mean, what more can you ask for out of him? I did bump Hemsky up to the top line, so his point total should be a little bit higher than what it is. I moved Sharp down a line because I figured Sharp is probably going to be better with Spezza and Nichushkin on that wing there. So a guy that I wouldn't mind acquiring would be like a Camilleri type guy. A guy who's good in your top 6. Who probably will be reasonable, and if we go to the Western Conference and kind of see where teams stack up, we'll get to see the sellers. So San Jose is clearly intent on just tanking. Edmonton's still at the bottom. Anaheim is really low there, which is shocking, but even then they're still at 31 points in 29 games, which is pretty solid. Then there's Vancouver, who is meh, and outside of that, West is pretty much still a pretty tight race. In the East, you've got Buffalo, Boston, Columbus, Florida as kind of the bottom runners already. So 32 games in, we're getting a little bit of separation between most teams, and so that's going to be interesting to keep our eyes on for a little bit. But I think we're going to sim a few weeks forward and maybe make a minor deal here or there. We'll see what happens. But again, I don't really want to give up too much for Yager because I view him as a 1-year rental player, and maybe at the deadline, like I'd rather give up what we're giving for Marlowe because he does have an additional year, and I think he is probably a slightly better player than Yager than what we're getting for Marlowe there. But right here, here's always an interesting option is bringing in Henrik Sedin, because we can bring in Henrik Sedin, we can throw him on the top line. He's going to get good points for us, but I think at the cost of Niemi and a third, it's pretty dang fair. I would do that trade in a heartbeat. But the problem is that I don't think right now for the franchise that's the best move to make, so we're not going to make this. We're going to scout some OHLD though. OHL has some good defensemen this draft. You know, they have Mikhail Sergachev. Obviously, Chikrin's a good one. Camden Needs a guy I really like. Yolevi's another guy there too. So, Dallas with Anaheim. Anaheim with Magna. What's Magna like? He is 23, 69 overall. That's nice overall, but not really what I'm looking for. Let's see if there's any like defensemen up here that would be a good ad. A guy like Dupre would be an amazing ad. Montour's another good prospect they have there. They have pretty good riches on that team. Manson seems like he's a legit NHL guy this year too, which is cool to see. He'll probably get a pretty beefy upgrade for next year, but overall, nothing I really like there. So let's move on here, and we're still winning games. We're 23-9 now. We just won back-to-back games against the St. Louis Blues. That is pretty good. So now we're just giving up a second-round pick for Henrik Steen. So again, we're hovering around that value for Henrik. I'm hesitant to make that deal right now. We'll see how the team feels and stuff, but yeah, I think it's all right now. We're not doing bad. We're not doing good, and I just like the situation we're in. Our AHL team's doing average, which is, you know, always good when you get your farm team doing well. Adding in prospects could be good because, again, we're in this bit of a phase where we want to push for the playoffs, but we also want to bring in a little bit of youth to replace our top end guys because we are a bit of an older team. So we're actually leading the Central Division, which is nice. Tune's probably leading the league. Chicago, what are you doing down there? But Sagan is on an absolute tear. Yeah, we got 61 points. We're running away with this a little bit here. We got a big lead on the Winnipeg Jets, ironically. So the 5-point lead is pretty good. And I mean, if we look at it in the Western Conference, we're already. So Colorado's the closest team to like actually getting in over the playoffs over us. But like we've already got a really solid lead on the next closest team, which is like 16 or 18 points, which is, you know, that's elimination. You know, over the course of the rest of the year, we're at 40, we're at the halfway point of the season already. Holy cow. A little bit over the halfway point of the season for us, but you know, they need to win 9 more games than we do, and that's gonna be really tough. So already we should start looking to push for the playoffs and give our team a little bit more chemistry. So let's go ahead and let's sim forward a little bit, and I want to make my trades for the trade deadline a little bit earlier than the actual All-Star, or than the actual trade deadline. I think I want to make an artificial trade deadline kind of, you know, right around the 10th to make most of our deals, and if anything interesting pops up after, we sim to there. So that's going to be our artificial trade deadline is the 10th, and I think that's probably where we'll end this episode, is around then. So we'll kind of look at, you know, options for the team. And again, guys that I want to target are guys that, you know, are good top 6 forwards that we can bring in. Sevier's not happy with his ice time, and again, so if he's not happy with his ice time, we'll be okay without him. We can trade him. We should look at morale for guys and see if there's any good targets, because again, a guy like Jakob Markstrom would be a good backup to bring in over Niemi. I love having the 2 goaltenders and rocking both of them, but I think rocking, you know, solid Niemi, second round pick for Tanguay, no thank you. Rocking a Niemi Luongo like pairing of goaltenders is really good. That's a strong rotation. We're not going to get beat a lot. Niemi straight up for strike. Now this one's interesting. We get defensive health, we lose defensive depth. We lose our goaltender, which is good because we shed salary in this, right? No, we don't. We actually gain salary. So I'd like to shed salary, or at least, you know, gain a little bit back in return. We'll see if they have anyone else matching the block, and they don't. So I don't think it's a good deal for us. So we're gonna go ahead and just skip that one. Ollie and Peters, it's not bad. We're giving up 2 prospects to get in a good defenseman to fit in our team, but overall, I think Mark Shart's not going to be the guy that we're going to want to target and bring into the franchise, because we want a guy who's a bit more of a two-way guy rather than just a pure offensive guy. We've got this good brand of hockey, though, that's built on this offensive talent. We want guys who can transition the puck from the offensive zone into the defensive zone, not from the offensive. We want the opposite, from the defensive zone into the offensive zone. So guys like that are guys who typically just have good shot totals in this game. This Henrik Sedin trade keeps on coming back to me, and I keep on wanting to like kind of tweak it and bring back a goaltender. I like it. I do like that trade. I think it's solid for us. I mean, we're giving up a like less than what I'd say we're giving up for Alex Songe. So, you know, bringing in a star player is always going to be nice, and I think keeping the Emmy around is valuable to the franchise, but I also don't think it's like end all be all. So let's go ahead and let's see where we're standing. We're heading into the All-Star break. We're still leading the Central, which is really nice. Second already has 67 points, and that's just a really good start for the franchise. We're at 50 games played, so definitely one of the best teams in the league. And yeah, we are the best team in the league. Senators are up there. I mean, when you add Joe Thornton to a team with Erik Karlsson, you all of a sudden become really good. So in the Western Conference, again, let's look at this kind of 9th place spot. We are 14 points up on the Chicago Blackhawks. And again, kind of like 15 up on the LA Kings. 50 games into the season, that's really good for us. I think that's, you know, where we need to be. We are an elite team, and we need to play like that, and so far so good. So Hemsky's point totals for playing on the top line are a bit disappointing. Sharp, though, with Spezza seems to be clicking pretty well, so I'm happy with that move. Cody Eakin's putting up good numbers for us. Let's look at our goalies here, and let's see how our goaltenders are doing. I think we're getting a big year out of Lou. So Lou has 1 assist for us. He's got a good save percentage. Niemi's also playing well, but Lou, again, I don't worry about GAA because GAA is a team stat. We're not a strong defensive team, and for that reason, I think we're better off just, you know, looking at a typical defensive ad at the deadline. So we could transition Russell for someone. It is an intriguing aspect to it. Let's look at points though. So we got the 2 league leaders in points. That's always nice to see at the top of the list. But yeah, I think we're solid. Jeff Skinner's up there too. Jeff Skinner's a guy who we can probably add, but it'll be at a pretty solid cost to the team. Daniel Sedin is a guy we probably should have traded for. I mean, looking at those point totals, that's pretty solid. But Henrik Sedin's still doing well. Different teams probably going to be at the same points after 53 games. That's crazy. Camilleri, hey, there's a guy that I said would be a good ad, and I mean, he might not be half decent. So we're going to want a guy with a lot of shots for us. And again, the reason why I want a guy with a lot of shots is that it typically means they're in possession of the puck a lot, and someone who, you know, might be a bit under the radar as far as players go. So Patrick Sharp's secretly really good for us. We'll be keeping him. Thomas Vanek. Do I want to bring in Thomas Vanek? The answer is probably no, but, you know, he's interesting. Rabato's another guy who's interesting. Probably be a little bit cheaper. I don't think we want Panarin. Anyone else? Anyone else on this? Schwartz is going to be too expensive. Foligno. He'd be a solid ad. He wouldn't be great because his contract is big, but he'd just be a solid ad. Frolik is a guy that I'd like to bring in too. He's a good top 6 winger, or a good middle 6 more than top 6, but he'd just be a good depth ad. So we should try to find teams that aren't in the playoffs here and target them, and teams that are looking out to be sellers at least. So it doesn't really get closer to the trade deadline, but let's look in the West here and see who are the bottom teams. And so San Jose, Edmonton, Vancouver, Calgary, really the 4 main teams there, and I forgot to look in the East before leaving. Probably, you know, alright, so Flyers are down there. Ottawa's leading the East. Buffalo, Boston, Columbus, Detroit, and that's kind of the cutoff there. So from those teams are the teams that we should look at quickly here, and let's go ahead and let's look through everything here. Let's look through kind of the team morales here, or let's look through the trade block and see if there's anyone who stands out to us that we should go out and get. Let's see if there's been any recent moves too. Sprong, Sheary, Joel Ward would be a decent guy to bring in. He's just good depth, and you know, bringing in depth for the playoffs is always a good thing. So nothing on the trade blocks is just like, oh hey, we should go pick him up. Any big trades made recently? Player and pick trading. Yarmer Yager for Ernie and Joseph. Wow, 2 Florida teams getting a deal done right there. Alright, so I think that's pretty solid. I like our team shoes. I like the way we're sitting here. We're sitting pretty. Let's go ahead and let's just kind of see where things are at morale wise for our team. See if there's anyone, you know, with a bad morale or something for their team. Stewart, not really wanting him. And let's see, because again, if we can like pry away a decent guy from a team, I'd be pretty excited. So Bruins, despite everything, have no one. You know, it's just interesting. Jack Eichel with absolutely an insane amount of neutralism. He's just like, I don't care about being on this team. It's pretty funny, but Sorelli came over. That's a good trade. That was a good, actually, off-season trade for them. Ryan Murray. That's, you know, an interesting ad. Again, I normally trade for Calvert every single time, but I don't think it's exactly the best fit here. England, meh. Chicago. Who Chicago got? Fleischman. Fleischman could be a good ad back to Dallas. Did he ever? I think he did at some point. It just feels, he feels like a kind of like, you know, typical player that, you know, the Dallas Stars would have had back in the day, but I don't think so. Now that I think about it, probably not. Bickle, not a chance. And I think our bottom 6 is good. We just need, you know, a good, probably one defensive ad. Maybe get rid of Chris Russell because he's in the final year of his contract, so we can probably try to change him for like a little bit more of a term guy. So like maybe like a Russell for, I don't know, someone half decent at least. I think that'd be something that we should entertain. And outside of that, I don't really see much overall or morale wise that we want to pursue right now. I'm only halfway through the teams, mind you, but Fontaine, 1-3 all. Habs have anyone? Nope. Devils. Kennedy is interesting. Let's see where Camilleri is, because if Camilleri is like, alright, so he's going to cost a decent amount, and we're not going to be able to get him for, he's not on the trading block yet, so, actually Nashville's still, pretty solid, like, or Nashville, New Jersey's still in a pretty good spot, if I remember correctly, so, gonna be hard to pry him away. Steve Bernier, not exactly the best option there. I don't know, the Rangers, Senators probably aren't going to have too many bad players with morale. They're winning a lot. They're a lot like us. They're winning a lot. So when you're winning a lot, you're not going to have bad morale, which is always, you know, a good way to go about things. No one on Pittsburgh. San Jose. See if San Jose has any negativity here. Alright, so Tierney, decent. Zubris. Marlowe is a guy, again, that we could probably pry away for pretty cheap, considering he's got medium morale. Like, he's just not, he's not happy, but he's not mad yet. So Tierney's a guy who's interesting because, again, he keeps that youth, but we don't want to get that right now. It's tough because we want that at the trade deadline. We don't want it right now. Yager's not happy, but he just got traded there, so that's explainable. Anyone else there? Vancouver. Henry. What about Winnipeg? Oh, they also got Nagmar in that trade. Winnipeg's got no one, and finally Washington. So no one morale-wise that's wanting to be traded yet. So, yeah, I think we're okay. You know, targeting players for the next stuff. So our soft trade deadline was the 10th. I think that's a good idea still to have that and see where things happen. Jamie Benn finally got named captain. First and third round pick from Marlowe again. I want Patrick Marlowe, but that price is too steep for me. Yeah, we lost to the Winnipeg Jets, which isn't good. We lost to Chicago, which isn't good. Again, it's just a sign that we need defense, but we do have the goalie to bail us out in Luongo, which is always good. Alright, so here's something that's interesting. So Hamhuis and Bartkowski. So Hamhuis to Dallas. Bartkowski, who's just defensive depth pretty much at this point. Too much in the contract there, though, for a first. I want to remove Bartkowski. And we're still getting a lot of value in this trade, so maybe like a Jakob Markstrom or a Verbata. Verbata will cost more than Henrik Sedin, so maybe we could add a Henrik Sedin, but that's going to increase the trade value a lot. Hamhuis is a guy that gives us a really good defensive kind of depth to the squad here, so let's go to player morale. Let's see where we stand here and just kind of go from there. Holy Jamie Benn, you are a beast. 85 overall. Holy cow. And Klingberg is just firing well. That's good to see. Alright. Let's stop the sim. And let's see where we're... So we're still top in the Central. That's good. Sagan's at 77. Sagan's almost at a full... Like, he could just pretty much take the rest of the year off and be point per game. We want to see our roster, though. Our lines. And just kind of go from there. And see how our defense is shaping out. So again, Hemsky hasn't really done much. He's up a little bit, but I do think we really need to swap him out for someone, or not swap him out for someone, but get someone else in there. And defensively, I think we're okay. I think we are kind of getting killed a little bit with this pairing, to the point where maybe trading away Chris Russell is actually all right. Again, it's either him or Goligoski, and between the two, you know, if we're judging by points and shots too, you know, Russell's getting a lot of shots. It's a good pairing there. It'd be getting rid of Goligoski for a defensive guy. So, we will have to see here. Jamie Benn, though, doing really well. Let's go through the trade block here and see if there's anything. So right now, I want to add, maybe get rid of a guy with 1 year left on his contract, like a Goligoski, and bring in a better defenseman for him. I would also like to bring in a good top six, like ideally a top six winger, preferably a first line guy. Neither one of those guys fit the bill. No one fits the bill there. No one fits it in there. Calgary, again, you guys are getting rid of goaltenders just like we're trying to, so not a good fit. No good fit there. Rene Bourque is not a good fit. Ferk is nope. Miller, Teravainen, not a good fit for us again. Mitchell or Campbell would be interesting, but again, that contract is scary. Brassard, not, again, no one we're really looking to add here. Zadlicki is just going to be, you know, probably too much for us to really care about at this point. Ilyash, again, just a good depth guy, but not someone we really want to add. Strite is interesting for sure, but I think we'll have to pass. And it looks like San Jose got rid of Marlowe, so Robidaw, Verbata, Bartkowski is going to cost nothing, and yeah, that's about it. So the Jets, you know, are doing pretty well out there. So I like where we stand here. I kind of like the overall shape of the team. Let's look at the player and pick trading. Where did Patrick Marleau wind up? Because, you know, he's a guy that, you know, we were looking at adding for the right price, but I don't think he's really a guy that we should have pursued hard after. Oh, he ended up in San Jose for Wickstrand, Rupert, and a first-round pick, and they also got Zubris with that. So, It's a pretty solid thing. But Sagan and Ben are going off for us. We can get a guy to go well with them. That'd be pretty good. And so I think that we should just kind of browse through teams here and sort of get things set up. So I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna end the episode about here and kind of just see, you know, what teams are giving up and make a bit of a judgment call on that. But overall, team's doing fairly well. I'm looking forward to what the rest of the season is going to bring us. We're top in the league, which is always really good. We do need to get rid of a goalie, and I do think we want to bring in a good goalie prospect. I also think we want to bring in a good defenseman, maybe turn over one of our defensemen for someone a little bit better. But outside of that, I think we're in really strong shoes right now. So we're obviously not one of the best teams out there, but we're also not, or we are the best team technically, but I think come playoff time we're very beatable, and so I think we need to improve our overall depth. And you know, bringing in guys like a Brian Campbell would be nice, but again, I think we need those more defensive type of players than anything else. So yeah, let's just finish scrolling through those teams. And Juleson, you know what? He's a guy that if we have to give up a goalie for, I don't think Montreal wanted a goalie. What am I talking about? Elias should be a good fit, but again, Juleson would be a guy that we bring in because, you know, he's probably ready in a couple of years to step into the team, and we need a little bit of roster turnover. We need to plan for that. We want this team to continuously be in the cup hunt, and Ottawa's magically circumventing the cap. That's pretty good. Straight is again an interesting guy here. Sprong, not at the top of my list. Joel Ward is on the trade block. What's he doing in San Jose? He's got 93 shots, which isn't great. He's got decent penalty minutes. He's a third line scoring forward. Not decent penalty minutes. He's just decent overall. He could be a good guy for the playoffs. Anyone? Nope. No one in St. Louis. Probably no one in Tampa. And probably no one in Toronto. Just Robidas. Vancouver. We might have some good options here. So we got, we can trade for Henrik Sedin and put him in the center and move Sagan onto the wing. That's definitely something. Whether it's a good something, I don't know, but we could experiment with that. I mean, heck, we want the Sedin to win a cup. He's got good point totals. Maybe, you know what? Maybe we do that. Let's end this episode with a bit of a bang here. Let's go out and let's bring in Henrik Sedin. He's going to cost us a goalie, which is good because we have lots of them. So we can get rid of Henrik Sedin. If we can just do this trade straight up, I'd be totally fine with it. So they want a little bit more. I think what we want to do is we want to offer them a skater that matches their block, and in exchange we'll give them a guy that matches ours. So we can get rid of Goligoski. I don't know if we really want to, but a guy like Hayden, who we're not going to sign, is a good option. How old is Peters? He's also 19. Maybe we can get rid of a guy like Peters for Henrik, and again, maybe just a Markstrom, because we do want that depth goaltender coming back. And yeah, Jakob Markstrom's not super happy, so bringing him in would be pretty solid. We have more than 50 players in the organization, so we do have to give up a contracted player too. Not defenseman. Skaters match and block here. And let's see, who's a guy who is contracted that we're probably not going to want to have on the team in a few years. Maybe like a Stransky, maybe like a Nyberg or a Truk. Alright, Truk is just, a depth piece. So we're giving up an undrafted guy. Overall, this is a fairly good trade for us. I don't see any complaints with this. We're giving up a goaltender that we won't use. We're getting back a good backup. We're getting in a guy to play in our top six. We're not giving up really anything we aren't going to be using. We'll see if they like this. So move Travis Moen down, and I do think if we can get them to retain a little bit of Henrik Sedin's salary, Like, if we can get them to retain, I don't know, like 1 mil of his salary, I think it'll make it a little bit easier for us. They don't want to retain any salary, so I don't want to move Hemsky back, but we might be forced to here. Because I don't want to eat that much salary. That much salary is pretty scary actually to eat up. So moving forward, let's see if there's anyone with high salary that we can just get rid of here. Because again, it is a bit of a scare. Oduya we're not getting rid of. Yeah, the only other option is like Roussel over them, but Goligoski expires at the end of this year. I think we're okay with this. Let's do it. And I'm happy. You know what? We got a star player in. We lost Niemi, but you know we brought in a really good guy for a top 6, and let's see kind of what the team looks like. So we lost morale for trading away Niemi. But man, when you bring in Henrik Sedin, how can you really complain? Let's move Henrik up to the top line here. And this just straight up, where did scratched Hemsky's still there. So our coach doesn't even want to play Alex Hemsky in this lineup here, but I think if we can send Richie down, then we can send Brent Richie down and put him there. Or just flip Hemsky for like some draft picks or something, but overall he's just good depth to have. I don't know. Right now I like the way this team looks. What's his role on the team? He's a depth forward anyways. So bringing in Hemsky here, playing on the 4th line. A little bit better overall. This team is pretty deep as it is. Again, maybe shipping off a defenseman or bringing one in. But outside of that, I'm pretty happy. We're bringing in Vancouver Canucks, and that's kind of funny because, you know, Hamhuis didn't come back, but I mean, we could go out and get Hamhuis. He would probably cost us too much in the long run. But anyways, that'll do it for today's episode. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. If you did, a like is very much appreciated. And again, there is a link in the description to go watch every single episode for the series, and I'll try to keep that updated as best as I can. As always, take it easy, and I'll catch you guys on the flop side.